I didn't want to ever stop talking to God. That's how I felt. And when I read this book, here was this man, this elderly man, 80 something years old, but he was saying the same thing. We do not have to go into prayer and then go into meditation, and that time doesn't have to end. We are always in the presence of God if we keep our mind always in that state. Hey everyone, it's Yandia. Today I want to share something with you guys, and I hope that it will be a blessing to you. During my meditation, I was thinking, on some questions that I've had recently where people would ask me, how is it that I'm able to commune with spirit or, seem to always be tapped in, so to speak. And I actually was thinking about that, when did my life change, or when did this actually occur? How could I pinpoint that moment? Is there a moment to pinpoint? And my mind went back to about 18 years ago when I read a book called The Practice of the Presence of God. And it's the story of a man called Brother Lawrence, is what he ended up going by. And I remember when I read that book, it's such a small book, an easy read. But when I read that book 18 years ago, I remember finding such deep confirmation in that book that from that moment going forward, I never came off of that path. And what I learned in that book was, one, I wasn't crazy, that there are other people on this planet who desire to be in the presence of God the same way that I was desiring to. And the way he described it was being in a continual conversation with God. So Brother Lawrence says, the most excellent method that he had found of going to God was to do all normal activities without any view of pleasing men, and as far as we are able, purely for the love of God. It was a great delusion to think that times of prayer ought to be different than other times. It is just as important to adhere to God by action in the time of action as by prayer in the time of prayer. His prayer was nothing other than a sense of the presence of God. His prayer was nothing other than the sense of the presence of God. Why that's so important is because I would go to pray. And when I would go to pray, I wouldn't have anything to ask God for other than, can you be here with me? Can I feel your presence? Can you help me to feel your presence? Can you help me to know that I am not alone and that you are here? And this is, imagine like back then, 18 years ago, reading this was so much confirmation, because I was like, okay, everybody has prayers and they always have like so many words, and I don't have words. I get into prayer and I just want to be in the presence of Most High. I feel like if I'm in the presence of Most High, what do I need to ask or say? Because God already knows everything, right? So God already knows what's in my heart. I don't have to ask for it. That was, how I felt. I really usually didn't have much to say in prayer. My longing was for the presence of God, to feel the love of God. I just love the feeling. I just love the feeling of being like embraced in a love that is unexplainable, in a love that causes me to forget everything that I'm having a difficulty with, in a love that causes me to want to continue living and experiencing life with all of its twists and turns. It is a love that I don't know. It's a love that is undescribable. It's undescribable, But anyhow, to continue, his prayer was nothing other than a sense, it's a love that is acceptance. That's it. It's like when I'm in the presence of Most High, I can know and I can feel that it doesn't change. I could have done something bad and the love I feel towards me is still the same. And the love is so strong that it makes me want to do good. It makes me want to do the right thing, And then when I'm doing great, seemingly not making any errors, and I'm in the presence, I still feel the same amount of love, So whether I do something that seems wrong or that seems right, the love never changes. But because the love is so strong, it always causes me to want to continue doing the good, or to change and turn, repent, so to speak, from doing whatever I may be doing that's not pleasing and not in harmony with the greatest good, not just for myself, but for others. That love is what causes me to want to be a better person and to be my highest self, right? This is the love that causes me to want to know the character and the ways of Most High, and to consciously, subdue my flesh into following those ways. So it's all love. I'm stirred up because of this love, and I felt this love first in prayer and in meditation. I would say this love is acceptance of myself at every stage of my being. Before I was so quote unquote saved, all through studies, all through every area of my life, I can tell you that saint or sinner, the love of God has never changed towards me. I could feel the same amount of love before, after, during, and I'm pretty sure for all of eternity. So that is my confidence that I have and freedom that I have in Most High. And that's why whenever I go to pray, I always just want to be in the presence. All of my needs are met. Everything I want is taken care of. I don't even have to ask for it, because I already know that it's taken care of. I go into the presence of Most High and my heart is red. My mind is red. Everything is there. And then here's the whole thing, going into the presence of Most High. This is important. This is what this book confirmed for me, and this is the pivotal point, okay? There is no going in and out of the presence of Most High. It doesn't have to be. For some people it is, but what's happening is literally your awareness of the presence of God. So, for example, I'll read it here for you. His prayer was nothing other than a sense of the presence of God. His soul was at such times unconscious of everything but divine love. When the appointed time of prayer was over, he found it to be no different. He still continued with God, praising and blessing him with all of his strength. In this way, he lived his life in continual joy. Yet he hoped that God might give him something to suffer when he had grown stronger. We ought to heartily put our whole trust in God once and for all, and make a total surrender of ourselves to him, secure in the faith that he would not deceive us. All things are possible to him who believes. They are less difficult to him who hopes. They are easier to him who loves, and they are easiest to him who perseveres in the practice of all three virtues. The goal of the spiritual life is to become the most perfect worshipers of God that we can possibly be in this life and throughout all of eternity. The greater perfection a soul aspires for, the more dependent it is upon divine grace. That is the absolute truth. I have experienced this, and I'm sure many of you have also. The greater perfection a soul aspires for, the more dependent it is upon divine grace. So this book confirmed for me that I didn't have to follow religion. I didn't have to follow the way that people were doing things in my church. I was very young when I first started consciously becoming spiritual and following a certain path. I was actually 12 years old, and I would go to church and I would see that, people just kind of did their duty. Okay, wake up, they pray, they go to church, they read their book, the Bible, they come back, they're doing life however they do life. I didn't want to ever stop talking to God. That's how I felt. And when I read this book, here was this man, this elderly man, 80 something years old, but he was saying the same thing. We do not have to go into prayer and then go into meditation, and that time doesn't have to end. We are always in the presence of God if we keep our mind always in that state. And so that is my big secret. Practice the presence of God. Do not have a time. Yes, you can have a prayer time where you're going to go and you're going to specifically do that. But I honestly don't even have a prayer time anymore. I haven't had a prayer time for years because I am always talking to God, so it's different for me. I don't look at it as a prayer time. I look at it like, okay, I would like to be away from people, to just have that, that conversation, or to not be distracted. Again, let me clarify. I am not telling you to not have a prayer time. I am not saying to you, do not have a prayer time. What I am saying is to answer the question of how is it that I am able to have what seems to others as a direct connection to Most High. It is because for the past 18 years, I have not stopped talking or communing with Most High. I mean, everything I do, I could be washing dishes, I could be on a conversation. Like right now, I'm recording this message and I'm speaking to Most High. That's how it is. I never leave the conversation. It's like calling somebody and never hanging up the phone. That's kind of how it's been for the last 18 years. And I could actually say before that, because 18 years ago is when I got the confirmation that it wasn't, it wasn't wrong or bad to be this way, or to think this way, or to desire this, and it was via this book. So anyhow, I hope that's been helpful. I want to encourage anybody who wants to have a deeper walk, a closer walk, a more intimate relationship, or just to feel like you're always in the presence of Most High, just don't end it. Don't end your prayer time. Go into prayer, and when you get up from prayer, just continue praying. And the thing that changes is that your prayer time moves from being a time of asking God for stuff to just actually communing with God about everything. It could be how you're feeling. It could be what someone is saying. It could be what you should do next. So that is literally what it is for me. This may not work for you. I am just sharing what works for me. And maybe if you give this a try, you will find great benefit in it. I know that Most High never stops leading, guiding, and communing with us. Sometimes we hang up that phone when Most High is still speaking. So let me give you an example of what it's like, okay? So I would wake up and I would speak to Most High. Let's say I would go into my prayer time, right? I would get up from prayer and I would go to the washroom. While I'm in my washroom, I would be, let's say, brushing my teeth or whatever. If I notice that something's up with my teeth, I would ask Most High, I see something up with my teeth. How should I deal with this? Right? I would get the answer and I would do whatever the answer was. Whether I had to make a dental appointment, or I needed to floss, or I needed to go look something up, that's how it is. I would go and I would greet my children, my husband, and let's say one of my children needed help with something. I'm still in the conversation with Most High. So I would say, okay, what's the best way to help him? What's the best way to help her understand this thing? The answer would come to me. I would use that and it would be the right answer to help the child. So this just never ended. It never ended. I have not stopped the conversation with Most High. Even right now, I haven't stopped the conversation. So it is definitely something that you practice. In the beginning, it's going to be difficult because you're so used to your mind wandering and, like being like squirrels hopping from this thing to that thing. But there definitely is a way to be able to live your everyday life, do your everyday things, and have your mind attentive to the voice of God. So I hope that helps. For those who would like some more tips, I'm open to sharing more on this practice of the presence of Most High. The key thing is just continue that conversation. So that is pretty much what it is for me. I hope that this has been helpful to you. And again, I'm not telling you not to have your prayer life. I'm just saying that when you get up off your knees, you don't need to stop listening. You could continue the conversation. It never has to stop. Okay? So it is my joy to help you manifest your dream life and highest self. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and share, and click on this video for more content. Bye-bye.